Wasn't ready for it. Was not ready for it to be this cold. 6:04, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. 33 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off your Monday morning. That is going to be warmer today than it will be at this time tomorrow and on Wednesday, possibly Thursday as well. Good morning, everybody. Welcome aboard. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. We got a busy Monday show for you. We are all over the map today. Quick rundown of the guest list. We'll get to all the individual topics later on, but a rundown for our guest list here. David Samuels is the editor of County Highway Magazine. We've been trying to run him down and talk about this topic. Are conspiracy theories hurting America? We have him now. We've found the gap in communication between us and David. There is surprisingly no conspiracy there. We're going to talk with him at 6:35. Are conspiracy theories hurting America? Also on the show today, Medical Monday, Dr. Tiffany Ardoin from Our Lady Lake going to join us talking about weight and wellness. That's at 7:15. Will Green from LABI at 7:35. Time to set out the 2025 priorities. We've got Moon Griffon at 8:15, and we will wrap up with Walt Leger. Former Speaker Pro Tem Walt Leger is with Geno Inc. now, I believe. And we're going to talk about Super Bowl prep in the wake of the terror attack down in New Orleans. So looking forward to all these conversations as the show wears on. Plus, we got a lot more that's going to fit in between, but we start off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Southern University is getting a new welcome center and events venue that can hold up to 750 people. $7 million project. Going to be called the Global Innovation and Welcome Center. It'll be built southwest of the university's football stadium on property previously home to tennis courts and previously home to Lacumba's Cage as well.
Number 4.
Former BRPD Chief Jeff LaDuff landed himself a new gig. It was announced Friday that he will be an assistant chief administrative officer for the Sid Edwards administration. LaDuff is going to be focusing on how the mayor's office can better help in fighting crime in the city.
Number 3.
New Year's Eve was not Samshun Din-Jabbar's first trip to New Orleans. As new information comes to light in the investigation into the terror attack in New Orleans, the FBI announced yesterday that Jabbar visited in October and November of last year. He'd also recently made trips to Egypt and Canada.
Number 2.
ABR deputies are still hunting down leads into a shooting from Friday morning. No one was hurt, but there were dozens of bullet holes found in some homes and cars along Woodlawn Acres Avenue. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP.
Number 1.
Budgeting a little bit of extra time this morning as schools are back in. You can expect traffic volume to be a little bit heavier. Of course, respecting the school zones is mission number 1 as well. But yeah, the Christmas break is over. We are back at it in the K through 12 levels. What's trending there, John?
Well, Canada may need a new prime minister, as multiple news outlets are reporting that Justin Trudeau could resign this week, possibly.
You almost said Bieber, didn't you?
As early as today.
I know.
Oh, man.
So you hear a story like that, and you're like, ooh, what's the scandal? Ooh, salacious.
One would think, right?
Poll numbers.
Yeah.
His poll numbers are low? Come on, Justin. Come on.
Oh,
Look,
man.
never really particularly cared for him that much. I mean,
Right.
He's Canadian. What are you going to do? But, like, poll numbers?
Yeah, sure.
But I don't.
All right. Today is January 6th, of course, and while the presidential election will be certified today and protests will be all over Washington, D.C., authorities are not expecting a repeat of the 2021 incident.
No, and because there's no individual Stop the Steal rally today because the election wasn't stolen. And it was pretty darn decisive, and there weren't, 15 million votes that just randomly appeared. Like,
Yeah.
I am not the guy who, like, what happened at the Capitol 4 years ago today was awful. It was.
Yes.
I'm not the guy who's trying to rewrite history to make it sound like it was nothing. I'm also not the guy who's trying to rewrite history to make it sound like it's the worst thing that ever happened in our country. It started off as a rally. It escalated from there. the Anchorman fight.
Yeah.
You know, Brick killed the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that escalated quickly.
Quickly.
Killed a guy with a trident. But it was somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Folks, when left to their own devices, can get a little rowdy and get out of hand. But we can't trivialize that either.
No, absolutely not.
But that being said, though, this was a much more decisive outcome.
Yes, indeed it was. Also, the Golden Globes were last night. Among the winners, Denzel Washington for his role in Gladiator 2.
Okay.
Let's see who else we got. We got a bunch of winners here.
So Demi Moore was all over the place.
Demi Moore as well. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Jeremy Allen White, winner, of course, the Bear TV series.
Okay, have you watched that?
Okay, I haven't. If I'm being honest. Now, look, I have watched Only Murders in the Building.
One of us has to watch The Bear because everything I hear about it is so amazing.
That's what I hear.
Right.
And there's really no reason why I haven't watched it, but we got to get into it. But I have watched.
See, Christy and I are looking for a new show, so
yeah.
We're binging Modern Family right now. But now that Blue Bloods is gone,
yeah.
we gotta find something. The Bear, he owns a sandwich shop in Chicago,
right?
Something to that effect.
The odds are stacked against him. He's the underdog. You know,
is that it? Is that
seems like a good story? But I have watched Only Murders in the Building, and of course Steve Martin Short are among the winners for.
So there's another one. I don't have it. That one's on Hulu only, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I really, really, really want. I am such a Martin Short and when Martin Short and Steve Martin are together, I'm such a huge
comedy
fan.
gold.
Yeah.
At its finest.
And then mix in Selena Gomez.
It doesn't seem like it would work, but it does. It works really
no,
well.
no! I'm on board for sure.
Yeah. It's really good.
Was expecting to hear, and I'm sure they're in there somewhere, but was expecting to hear Wicked a lot more.
Right.
But only one award for Wicked on the night. Was that right?
That is correct. Yeah.
All right.
As I'm seeing, Colin Farrell for his role in The Penguin. Wow.
So I did not watch the Golden Globes, but I am looking forward to seeing how Nikki Glaser did as the host. That's the other part of that. Is for how many years did Ricky Gervais go viral every year? Right. So
they're keeping him away from it.
And then Nikki Glaser coming off of last year's roast of, or was it 2 years ago, roast of Tom Brady?
Yes.
And she's just been on another level since then. So
giving someone else the limelight.
Yeah.
It's good.
But yeah, the Golden Globes last night, the lists were all over the dadgum place. I mean, it's like it wasn't. I don't see where there was one big winner for the whole night. It was kind of everywhere.
Right.
So.
Yep. Cinematic and box office achievement. The number one winner was Wicked. So.
Yeah.
It was that.
Yeah,
but,
Wicked was there. Just.
Not as much as you would think.
Right.
The hype.
You didn't have the one movie that kept going back and going back and going back. It was a little bit for everybody.
Yep.
So, all right, we're at 612 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got to take a quick break. When we come back from that break, going to talk a little Saints football. The season is over with. Women's basketball looked good to start off their conference play yesterday. Before we get you to that break, though, got to remind you about the folks over at P.F. Chang's. You know, John and I were talking after P.F. Chang's came in for Foodie Friday last Friday, and we did them a disservice on Friday because how many times have you wondered what did the P.F. and P.F. Chang stand for? And we did the research. We did the background. After we were off the air, we did the research and did the background. We asked the question, what does P.F. stand for in P.F. Chang's? Would you believe it stands for a guy named Paul Fleming, who is actually from Louisiana? Got his start in the restaurant business by franchising out Ruth Chris Steakhouse. And then he moved over and met this Chang guy, and they started doing upscale Chinese. I've always wondered why, like, when the ambiance and the feel in that P.F. Chang's, it's that upscale vibe, that upscale feel without feeling uncomfortable about it. That starts with P.F. and P.F. Chang, with Paul Fleming. Believe it or not, P.F. Chang's a Louisiana-born product. Who knew? Anyway, if you don't have lunch plans today, might I suggest swinging by for the Golden Feast? Might I suggest swinging by for the chicken lettuce wraps, which we devoured on Friday? So good. You'll find them in Town Center, right off Corporate Boulevard. Look for the giant golden horse. It's P.F. Chang's. Hey, I like that one.
That's good. Throw that in there. Yeah. It's worth noting, right?
online. Oh. They still haven't fixed Parrish in the log, huh?
No.
All right, fine.
Troy says, Paul Fleming, a proud St. Mary Parish native.
Troy's right.
All right.
Troy is right.
Yeah.
However, born there, raised in, well, is New Iberia is not in St. Mary, is it?
That's a good question. Oh, highlight cuts?
Oh, give me one quick second.
Oh, yeah, you good.
Shoot.
Oh, that's cool, Troy. He said correct. His dad was a judge for a long time in Franklin, Troy's birthplace.
See?
Like that.
Give me 2.6.
Mm-hmm.
2.7.
All right.
I don't get it.
That's it?
That's it. 617, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. LSU women's basketball has now moved to 17-0 on the season. Conference play well underway. Tigers are 2-0 in conference after beating Auburn yesterday, 73-63, your final score right there. They were led by, you know what, both of our highlights from yesterday's game come from the second period. The Tigers were led in scoring by Anissa Morrow, who, to go along with her 21 points and 14 rebounds, she also had 3 steals. Here's how one of those steals sounded when followed by points. Nope. No. That's Dennis Rizzi coming up.
The bucket, one on none, layup is good. The Anissa Morrow special.
It is quickly becoming the Anissa Morrow special. To go along with Anissa Morrow's 21, Kaylin Gilbert had 17, including the end of the second quarter with this bucket.
16-15, Gilbert, the one running the point here, dribbling it out, 12, 11, 10, 9. Now they will get it started. Gilbert working one-on-one, behind her back dribble, fancy dribble, goes right baseline, a fadeaway, 14-footer is good. And that is going to end the half. Gilbert is in a Jasmine Carson zone right now. She did some dribbling and some moving and some shimmying, and then a fadeaway 14-footer. Got nothing but the bottom.
That put the button on a 27-point second quarter. LSU wins the second quarter, 27-8, 73-63 your final score. So Morrow had 21, Gilbert had 17, Flaugier had 12, and Michaela Williams had 10. Those were your 4 Tigers in double figures yesterday. As for LSU, at 2-0 in conference play right now, they will take on number 15 in the country, Tennessee. They'll be at Tennessee on, let's see, today is the 6th, tomorrow's the 7th, 8th. They'll be at Tennessee on the 9th. So you'll hear LSU women's basketball right here on Talk 107.3 FM. We're going to cover the end of the Saints season after we take a quick break. I'm looking at the clock here. We want to stay on time. We've got the Saints fell to the Bucks yesterday to end the awful season. We'll talk about it next right here. We've got the Fox Business Report coming your way on Talk 107.3 FM. I'll have traffic. We will continue next. Hey, can you pull up a song real quick? Not to be as the bumper. You're gonna after I do traffic, I want you to bump me back in. We'll do the Saints, and then I want you to play the song. Okay? Carnival Time by Al Johnson. Yeah. Hi, Todd. uh, you can definitely tell the Christmas break is over with as you look at the volume on the interstate right now, specifically I-12 westbound. Coming in from Denham Springs, you know the hot spots. You know where you're going to tap the brakes as you're getting on at Range Avenue. It's going to be heavy right there as you get towards O'Neill. Going to be heavy right there when you get towards Airline Highway. Heavy again, and then closer to the 10-12 merge, you're going to tap those brakes one more time. Not enough to make you want to change your route. In fact, it's not even stop and go yet. It's just heavier volume. Over on I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish, we're looking good. 10 eastbound coming from West Baton Rouge Parish, also looking good. I-110 southbound, there's reports that there's a stalled vehicle in the roadway. 110 southbound at Evangeline. That's been up on the board for about 45 minutes now, so it's probably moved off. Either way, I'm not showing where it's causing delays. Surface Street's got a couple of accidents to look out for. There's an accident. The first one is from about 20 minutes ago with a fatality on Exchequer by Merchant. Not a major thoroughfare, but that since there is a fatality, it's going to be worked throughout the morning. There's also congestion on Sherwood by Newcastle, and another accident from about 35 minutes ago. It's been pushed off the roadway. Windburn at Victoria. That's your look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. .625 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Sports rolled over into our our next segment here as well. We're going to talk about the Saints as their season is now over with. Golly, actually didn't look too bad yesterday. Baker Mayfield just looked better. Saints could not hold on to a late lead. They lose 27-19 to Tampa Bay. This finishes the season out at 5-12. They were actually up 19-13 going into the fourth quarter, but a 32-yard touchdown pass from Mayfield to McMillan put the Bucs up for good. An 11-yard touchdown run by Bucky Irving, household name Bucky Irving, taking it to the Saints yesterday. With a minute 51 left, gave the Bucs a little bit of cushion. After the game, interim coach Darren Rizzi said he was disappointed with the outcome, but not the effort.
For us to be playing for nothing, essentially meaning the postseason, and for our guys to go out there and give the effort they gave is pretty remarkable, right up to the end of the game.
There's
right
no
to
such
the very, very last play of the season, our guys are fighting, scratching, clawing. That's a credit to them.
There's no such thing as playing for nothing in the NFL. It just doesn't exist. Every player out there is paid. So you're either playing to live up to the contract you've already signed or to earn the one you're looking for next. And if you were a New Orleans Saint specifically yesterday, the team's going to see a pretty major overhaul, whether you like it or not, in the offseason. Number one, they're always in cap hell, which means that there's always a very crucial look at managing the salaries on the roster. Number two, you're going to have new blood coming in the coaching staff, so everybody's auditioning for their job. And number three, if you're not auditioning for the job here, you're auditioning for a job elsewhere. So there's no such thing as playing for nothing. I get what interim coach Rizzi's saying there, but no, they're pros. Now, talk about the last play of the season. That play was a pass to Mike Evans for 9 yards, which put him over 1,000 yards for the season. It was a record-tying 11th straight season with 1,000 receiving yards. That play alone got him a $3 million bonus. So when we talk about there's no such thing as playing for nothing, yeah, Mike Evans was on the receiving end of that not playing for nothing bit. By the way, Rizzy was wearing a sweatshirt that said NOLA with a heart replacing the O in memory of those who were killed in the New Year's Day terrorist attack on Bourbon Street. Rizzy said he wanted to win it for them and, well, for the whole city as well.
We really wanted to try to get one here, obviously, with all the circumstances that took place this week. It would have been great to bring home a win back to New Orleans, to give everybody something to at least smile about for just a short term.
Back to that in just a moment. Spencer Rattler was 26 of 42 for 240 yards and 1 touchdown. He was also sacked twice. After the game, Rattler said he was disappointed that he couldn't lead the Saints to a win, which would have been his first win as a starter.
We should have and could have won that game if we controlled a few things, that we messed up. But another game down to the wire versus playoff team. They made some plays at the end that made it hard for us to come back, but we kept fighting, and there's a lot of good to take from this, for sure, and then a lot to learn from as well.
With the season now over, it's time for, before you even get to the NFL draft, it's time to start looking at the coaching search, which I'm sure in the front offices is well underway. As the Saints, one of now, I believe there's 4 teams now that are looking for a new coach. There were 3, and then the Patriots fired Jared Mayo. So today is, what do they call it, Black Monday in the NFL? Going to be a lot of competition. Going to be a lot of competition to see who is the next coach. All right. You heard Darren Rizzi talk about how New Orleans is reeling right now. And it is. The city as a whole is, absolutely. But today is the Feast of the Epiphany. Today is Monday, January 6th, a.k.a. 12th night, a.k.a. the beginning of the carnival season. It's okay to eat king cake now, everybody. But it's a different sort of beginning to the carnival season this year because of what happened on January 1st. We are not even a week removed from what happened on January 1st, early in the morning. And we are now opening a time where New Orleans is world-renowned for celebrating, partying, having a great time. I want your feedback over on Facebook Live. Is this Mardi Gras going to be different? Or as we get closer to the heart of the carnival season, go ahead and hit it, John. As we get closer to the carnival season, are things going to return to normal? How long is it going to take for us to get back in the saddle again? And do you feel a little weird about it considering everything else that's happened? Let us know over on Facebook Live. Right now, here's news. Sorry, I meant to tell you to bring that in under me. That's all right. Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead and call him. I'm texting him. My producer is about to call. Darn right, third time's a charm. It's just hilarious that in talking about conspiracy theories, it would take 3 times to get for us to get to the same page. Like there's these dark and nefarious forces at work. The deep state's keeping them off. I went and checked out the website for County Highway.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty cool little rag. I shouldn't say little. It looks like it's good.
Yeah. I know.
It's hard to get a foothold right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Might be adding one more to that list. Actually, I might be positioning the next sponsor to go in a different direction. I think it'd be great to. It's. We'll talk about that later. Emma Kate, right?
Yep.
Though we don't have it as bad as the rest of the country, it is still a cold start to your Monday morning drive. Here with your full forecast is Emma Kate Cowan. And I'm going to go all the way to 50. I'll go all the way to 50. 637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Yes, we are at 33 degrees to start off your morning. Are conspiracy theories hurting America? It's a question that's been bubbling around. And David Samuels is the editor of County Highway. County Highway, by the way, is a magazine that's it's kind of a throwback. It's a bit of an old school publication. You can check it out at countyhighway.com. It got launched during COVID, but it's edited by and created by David Samuels, who was a longtime writer for Harper's and the New Yorker and a few other magazines as well. He joins us right now. David, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
Hey, great. Thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you on here. I appreciate your persistence as well. We had some communications gaps going back and forth. I was talking with my producer during the break just now. I find it hilarious that we're talking about conspiracy theories, and yet it took 3 times to get you on, like there were these deep, dark, and nefarious forces trying to prevent it from happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely there were.
Before we get into our conspiracy theories hurting America, I want to talk about County Highway for just a quick second, if you don't mind, because y'all are still relatively new, got up and running during COVID. But talk to me a little bit about the inspiration behind it and what folks can expect when they get there.
Yep. So the inspiration behind it was that I was sitting at home staring at a screen, during COVID, watching all this kind of fake news blur into the other fake news. And I said, God, what's happened? You know, I used to enjoy sitting down, reading a newspaper, having a physical copy of the paper in my hand. I used to trust what I read. And this stuff on my screen is all garbage. I know it's being manipulated by the government, by large corporations, all the rest of it, and you don't even know what you read 5 seconds later. And they don't want you to remember what you read because they change it afterwards. And I said, what a terrible thing. I was a journalist, a writer of long magazine stories my whole life. It's art that I really cared about. And I said, you know, what if we just founded a paper, took it off the internet, had it be a physical object that people held in their hands again, and put all the best writing in there, and had it be about America, and I bet people would read it. And I called my friend Walter Kern, who's a novelist, on the phone. I said, hey, Walter, what do you think of this? And he said, I think it's great. Let's do it, see what happens. And so we founded the paper that way, and now we have about 15,000 subscribers and probably sell another 9 to 10,000 copies per issue on the newsstand. So we're, you know, making a living at it, and people really seem to enjoy it.
It's I hit up the website as soon as I saw the email talking about the conspiracy theory topic. I hit up the website, and it is exactly as described. I mean, it's a bit of a throwback there, but it does take a little bit of it takes a little patience to have a true long lead, right? It takes a little bit of patience to appreciate real journalism, and patience is something that's lacking in today's society. Do you think that's contributing to the overall conspiracy theory feed?
Sure. I mean, the thing that I'd say this for starters, though, is that this country was founded on a conspiracy theory, right? The conspiracy theory was that King George III of England had a plot to undermine the liberties of North American colonists. He was going to take away all of our liberties, and not just that. That was only the precursor to a larger plan by which all of the English in England were going to be deprived of their liberties as well by the crown, which was going to establish an absolute tyranny, and it was therefore the job of the colonists by rebelling to save liberty. Now, needless to say, none of that was true. King George III, whatever his faults, didn't have, you know, a far-reaching plan to deprive all Englishmen of their liberties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, and we can see the sort of survival of conspiracism in the Constitution, right? Which is set up so that no branch of government could become the foundation for a tyranny of any person or any group of people over all of the others. And then you have these guarantees of individual rights against the state, which was presumed to have inherent tendencies, at any rate, towards establishing an absolute tyranny. We may look at the founding fathers and say they were a bunch of, you know, crackpots. I think they were quite wise. But either way, there was certainly a very broad appreciation for the idea of conspiracy and, you know, alarm at the prospect of having one's rights taken away by a conspiracy that led to the founding of the country itself. So there's nothing odd about the fact that, you know, 200 and some odd years later, Americans are still obsessed with conspiracy theories.
It's just part of human nature, though, isn't it, David? And by the way, David Samuels, the editor of County Highways, our guest. We're talking about conspiracy theories. It's part of human nature that this level of questioning, it's the way our brains work.
Well, I'd say specifically the way our brains work as Americans, and there's a modern, you know, point of origin to this obsession too, which is the Kennedy assassination. Mm-hmm. That's where the term conspiracy theory comes from. There were two theories, right? The Warren Commission report had the lone gunman theory. That was the premise of the Warren Commission report. But it turned out that as they advanced that theory, large numbers of Americans at the time and up until today, I actually didn't accept that as a likely explanation that Harvey Oswald had acted alone. And the CIA actually came up with the phrase conspiracy theory to describe the people who didn't believe in the lone gunman theory. And it's actually a very clever phrase because on the surface, well, lone gunman, that's one explanation, and conspiracy, that's another. But of course, the word conspiracy sounds a little crackpot, right? Inherent in the word is the idea that it's a conspiracy against you.
Right.
And so they kind of cleverly labeled their opponents as nuts. And so conspiracy theory has sort of come with that idea that you're crazy, when in fact, you know, the idea that people act together to accomplish aims is in fact the way the world works all the time, right? There's nothing crazy about thinking that.
Right.
Thinking that they're specifically targeting you is usually paranoid. Not always.
But that's also a genuinely American idea too.
That they're targeting you?
The individualism of it.
Well, I think it's the flip side of the individualism, right? Which is, how do things actually happen? And especially in an age where we have seen a lot of sort of shocking direct evidence of a type that we hadn't seen in the 20th century except during wartime, of the government actively getting involved with censoring and manipulating the news. And in the absence of institutions that were trusted to fairly tell us whether stuff like, you know, Russiagate was true or not, people feel powerless. And then they look for broad explanations that go beyond what they read in the paper. And, you know, in that sense, we live in an age of conspiracy theories now because the institutions that we trusted in the 20th century violated that trust and are no longer the same institutions anymore. We don't have an independent, freestanding press that pays for itself. We have a lot of interlocking corporations that are very dependent on the government and become extensions of the power of whether it's government bureaucracies or large corporations. We know that the news that we're getting is not news that some well-meaning, objective person tried to figure out the truth on our behalf, which is what we believed for most of the 20th century. People don't believe that now. Very few people do, and they're right not to. So the question then is, how do you interpret reality without a trustworthy press? And the answer really is you can't.
Right.
You sitting wherever you are have no fucking clue. Sorry, you have no clue what's going on in Washington or why things happen the way they did. And all you have is a lot of competing explanations. Some of them say, you know, there's a secret deal and these people are getting billions, and then someone else says it's Bill Gates, and someone else says it's the Pope, and someone else says it's the Jews, you know, and how can you tell the difference? And the answer is you can't tell the difference, except in one very useful way, I find. When people ask me, well, how do we know the truth today? And the answer is you can't know the truth, but you can know what someone is telling you to do. So in that sense, there are good conspiracy theories and bad conspiracy theories. And I like to use the example of two people who are often lumped in together as, you know, Trump people or whatever, Tucker Carlson and Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Tucker Carlson over the last year and a half, especially Tucker talks a lot about aliens. He talks a lot about Putin. He talks a lot about secret conspiracies, Jews, and so forth. And the thing that all this stuff has in common is that you are powerless. Whatever it is, aliens have special secret technology. The government isn't telling us about it. demons are attacking him, this and that. There's nothing you can do. The forces are much bigger than you are. The response is despair, right?
Right.
And to me, that's toxic. That's toxic stuff, especially when it comes along with the idea of hating people.
We've got about 30 seconds left before we have a hard break, David. I want to ask you one more question.
Yep.
Is there a way out of it?
The way out of it is the thing I'm saying, which is use your own brain to see what people are telling you to do. If they're telling you to despair and give up, then it's bad. If they're telling you, like Bobby Kennedy, get healthy and watch what's in your food, then it's probably good for you, right?
I would agree with that. Although, you know what? We're just scratching the surface. I'm not done with you yet, but we got a hard break here. Let's reconnect offline real quick, and we got to get you back on at a later date. He is David Samuels, the editor of County Highway. I appreciate a couple minutes.
Yep. Thank you.
Here's your money now on Talk 107.3. Bro, if he doesn't drop that F-bomb, that is an awesome segment. Going to be featured, so I want you to delete that word out on the online version.
Yeah, I actually made a note.
Yeah.
I made a note just to, yeah. It caught the attention of the Facebook crew, though. I'm sure it caught the attention of a lot of people, but yeah.
I mean, by the way, my follow-up with him is going to be pre-recorded. I'm not going to do this live again. It felt like he had a quote on the number of times he had to say Jews. Good Lord. Oh. No one. Okay.
The joys of live radio.
Friday's news call still in my stack.
Friday's news call.
Yeah. From LRN. The stories with the cuts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wondering why the stack was heavy. 655 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, holding at 34 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to David Samuels for hopping on board. A word or two aside. That was a intriguing segment. We're going to have to hit him up for some follow-up to be sure. Hey, coming up next hour, we've got Dr. Tiffany Ardoin with from Our Lady of the Lake talking weight and wellness in our Medical Monday segment. And then Will Green from LABI stops by, laying out the 2025 priorities, to be sure. Looking forward to both of those conversations in our next hour. Before we get you to our next news item here, which is going to take us back to New Orleans, I got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European, VEX, V as in Vinny. VexEuropean.com is the website. If you drive a European-made vehicle, you need to check out VexEuropean.com. And the reason for that is, you know you made an investment into your car. You know there's a level of performance you expect out of it. You know there's a level of lifespan you want out of it as well, which means making the most of your car from start to finish. Vex European, this is what they do. They specialize in European vehicles. They specialize in Mercedes and BMW and Audi. They specialize in Land Rover and Range Rover and Jaguar. In fact, if you go to VexEuropean.com, hit the little vehicles tab, see if your make of vehicle is on that drop-down list, to know that you'll be paired with a technician who specializes, is expert level in your make of car. 10 years in business as of this year. They're celebrating their 10th year anniversary over at Vex European. Vinny and his team pride themselves on what I've dubbed Vexpertise. I use them. I love them. I swear by them. Check them out at VexEuropean.com. So down in New Orleans, the FBI and ATF continue their follow-up on the terror attack from New Year's morning. And you heard in news at the bottom of the hour there that more lives probably would have been lost if officers didn't kill the suspect after he crashed into a piece of construction equipment on Bourbon Street. Joshua Jackson, special agent in charge of the ATF New Orleans' field office, said Shamsuddin Jabbar possessed a transmitter with radio receivers designed to ignite two bombs that he had placed on Bourbon Street.
So we believe that the transmitter would have functioned and would have worked, but for New Orleans PD putting him down before he could get access to that transmitter and set off the devices.
It is worthy. It is definitely noteworthy. In fact, of all the video that's been circling around and going viral, there's one particular video that's a block off Bourbon. I think it's a block off Bourbon, but you see this gaggle of NOPD officers, and they just all like as soon as the crash happens, hit a switch and start running, sprinting towards the crime scene, towards the terror scene. And that quick reaction saved lives. Absolutely. Of everything that went wrong on that morning, it is important to take note of the things that went right. Jabbar died in a gunfight with NOPD. Authorities still believe he acted alone. The FBI says, more coming from the press conference yesterday. The FBI says they learned that the 42-year-old from Houston visited New Orleans twice in the month leading up to his attack, or twice in the 2 months leading up to his attack, October and November. FBI special agent in charge, Lionel, I believe this is pronounced Mitchell, says during his October visit, he recorded reconnaissance video of Bourbon Street with smart glasses.
During that time, Jabbar, using meta glasses, recorded a video as he rode through the French Quarter on a bicycle. This video shows Jabbar during that trip in October with his meta glasses. As we continue to learn more about that trip, we ask anyone who may have seen or interacted with him to contact us.
There were also trips to Canada and Egypt back in 2023. Mitchell says they want to talk with anyone that may have encountered him.
Our agents are getting answers as to where he went, who he met with, and how those trips may or may not tie into his actions here in our city in New Orleans.
Among the unanswered questions right now is why New Orleans. We're hoping that information comes out soon as well. It's 7 o'clock. Here's news. Eric. Eric says we're going to learn about evil right-wing conspiracy theories and curse words. Eric, I think you heard him, or maybe I heard him completely wrong. Everything that I've gotten from him, he doesn't like the term conspiracy theory because it makes you sound like a kook. It makes you sound like you're off your rocker. If you listen to Tucker Carlson, if you listen to Joe Rogan, there's that you're automatically wearing a tinfoil hat. I think his bigger point was that, let's drop the term conspiracy theory because it creates that level of classism. I guess at that level of I'm not articulating myself right. Once you call something a conspiracy theory, you've basically relegated yourself to the far-reaching corners of the internet. When the truth is really somewhere in the middle, when the truth is really closer to the quote-unquote theory than it is what's actually being reported. Debbie? Ooh, Debbie. Important misspelling right there. I don't think he associated music and dance with satin. Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry, Debbie. I had to.
What did Debbie?
He's...
Oh.
I think she meant Satan.
Satan, yeah. Yes, Galen, I did see the redheaded young lady that barely escaped the speeding truck. That was some...
She went back into Crystal Burger, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the Crystal Burger that she was at.
Yeah.
Oh, she says, I got in right before the F-bomb. Yeah. It's difficult to support the person who supports the healthy questioning that comes with conspiracy theories when they start to do that, though, right? Gets all agitated, out of sorts. Sorry, Debbie.
It happens to the best of us, right? It happens.
I'm trying to shake off a morning drive, carpool time, no less. First day back from holidays, F-bomb. Oh, yeah, absolutely the best time to leave that on bourbon. Thank you, Troy. Thank you. That is what I'm stumbling over this morning. Lack of credibility. Now, I will say his website does go on to talk about Lee Harvey Oswald and the CIA keeping an eye on him, and that's why I want to have him back on, because if there's any conspiracy theory I do believe is that there's no way no way he acted alone. Oh. 7:05 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Busy second hour. We do have Medical Monday with Our Lady of the Lake coming your way in our next segment. Always looking forward to that. And as the new year kicks off, who doesn't have the New Year's resolution to lose a little weight, right? I know I'm in that category. Man, I started like right after Thanksgiving, and I really like crushed it for 3 weeks until getting off before Christmas. And everything I did in those 3 weeks, I lost in a week and a half. And it's amazing how it's twice as hard to take it off than it is to put it on, right? Well, Dr. Tiffany Ardoin is going to talk with us about weight and wellness at 7:15. Will Green from LABI slated to join us at 7:35, talking 2025 priorities for LABI. Right now, though, top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Southern University is getting a new welcome center and events venue that can hold up to 750 people. $7 million project can be called the Global Innovation and Welcome Center. It'll be built southwest of universities of the A.W. Mumford Football Stadium on property that was previously home to tennis courts and Lacumba's Cage.
Number 4.
Former BRPD Chief Jeff LaDuff landed himself a new gig. It was announced Friday that he'll be an assistant CAO for the Edwards administration. LaDuff is going to be focusing on how the mayor's office can better help in fighting crime in the city.
Number 3.
New Year's Eve was not Samshun Din Jabbar's first trip to New Orleans. As new information comes to light in the investigation into the terror attack on Bourbon Street, the FBI announced yesterday Jabbar visited in both October and November of last year. The October visit including a lot of reconnaissance video taken via metaglasses.
Number 2.
EBR deputies are still hunting down leads in a shooting from Friday morning. No one was hurt, but there were dozens of bullet holes found in some homes and cars along Woodlawn Acres Avenue. Authorities are asking if you know anything about this, have any information, please call Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP.
Number 1.
School's back in as the volume on the streets is showing us. School is back in today. However, not for all schools in our entire listening area. I want to shout out to Trell for sending me a message showing that for a couple of different school districts around the area, today is teachers and administration only for today and tomorrow. So rather than run down who's in and who's out, check with your local school. Check with your local school to know for certain who's in and who's out, because I'm showing like Baker Central, Zachary. You probably still have the kids at home today. Anyway, that's your top stories. Here's what's trending. All right, John. I'm still like, I'm not back on pace.
You good? It's Monday, Brian. It's Monday.
Then, well, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Hey, Canada may need a new prime minister, as multiple news outlets are reporting that Justin Trudeau could resign this week, possibly as early as today.
So I started following that story last night because, you see a headline like that,
right?
And you just think there's something going on behind the scenes. You're like, ooh, why? Ooh, what's the scandal? Ooh, give me something salacious. His poll numbers are down?
Conspiracy.
His poll numbers? Fight through it, man.
Yeah.
It's
like, I'm backing out.
People don't like me. I'm going to go away now is the most Canadian thing to start this morning,
I was going to say, that's
right?
the Canadian way, man. That's just how it is.
It's so Canadian, it's French.
Oh, man. Also, today is January 6th, of course, and while the presidential election will be certified today and protests will be all over Washington, D.C., authorities are not expecting a repeat of the 2021 incident.
Yeah. Look, important to not dust history under the rug, and important not to try and rewrite it on either side of the aisle. That being said, though, there were fewer questions coming out of this one. That being said, though, and with a nod to what we talked about last hour, the conspiracy theories, and I want to drop that term and just say the questions left unanswered. When you leave questions unanswered, you have an informational vacuum. When you have an informational vacuum, you can lead to irrational results.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I know. I'm not.
I know, right?
I don't have punchlines for that. It's just.
I was almost waiting for one.
Well, no, I know because it's such a serious thing. And look, 4 years ago today, on January 6th, 2021, it was a Wednesday. And I know it was a Wednesday because Congressman Garrett Graves was on for D.C. Current, presented by LABI.
Oh.
And this will go down in infamy. Like, I will never, ever forget this for the rest of my life. Had the congressman on, and there were rumors that, like, things could get contentious inside the certification of the election. Like, there were a number of Republican congresspeople who weren't going to vote to certify the election. So I offhandedly asked Congressman Graves, I said, if things go sideways today, you ready to throw down? You ready to little fisticuff, little Donnybrook maybe? You ready to throw down? And the congressman didn't miss a beat. He said, well, I haven't been, doing a lot of shadow boxing or lifting, but I've been in the gym running. So I think I can outlast anybody rather than knock them out. Something to that effect, right?
Oh.
That was the tenor of conversation at 7:35 in the morning. And then things transpired the way they did. And it's like, oh, did we just predict history? Ouch.
Yikes. In other news, the Golden Globes were last night.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened.
Yep.
A lot of winners, including Demi Moore. Did you know? I didn't know this. So during her acceptance speech, she said that she's been doing this for 45 years, and this is the first time I've ever won anything as an actor.
Really?
That's intriguing. Yeah. That's her from her. That's her own words.
I mean,
for her role in The Substance.
I thought, like, I would have sworn if you go back through everything that she's done, the thought that she was never Best Supporting Actress for A Few Good Men, she wouldn't have been in there. G.I. Jane was awful, but she was playing. Disclosure. Man, just to go back through her catalog of everything that she's done, the thought that she's never won anything, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah, and just to double check here, it was her first.
Okay.
First major acting award.
Okay. Well, you know what? Something to be said for persistence. By the way, you had mentioned last hour about the Bear taking home a win.
Yes.
Shout out to Stephen Wagasback, the former head for LABI. He had hit me up during the break saying, if you haven't seen the Bear, you have to remedy that. So we were talking about it, saying neither one of us. So somebody's got to get Hulu.
Yes.
Or pirate a password.
Well, I've got the Hulu, so I'm watching Early Murders in the Building. Steve Martin.
Is it as good as everybody says it is?
It is really good. A lot of cameos. Zach Galifianakis, Paul Rudd is in there. Jane Lynch. A lot of cameos, but really good.
Okay.
Really good show. I think you'll enjoy it.
I don't want to pull the trigger on Hulu for this.
Right, especially if it's just one show or maybe two shows.
But now it's like 3, 4, 5 shows.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
you want the same way with Paramount Plus.
You want to hop on for a couple months, binge it all, and hop back off again?
Yeah.
All right. We're 713 at Talk 107.3 FM. We have got Medical Monday coming up next. Weight and wellness. Let's talk about it here on Talk 107.3. So, bump us back in, and I'm going to hit the... Good Lord, it's everybody except for Baton Rouge.
What's that? Oh, going back to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids don't go back till Wednesday.
Where do they go?
We're in Denham, so Freshwater and Denham High. Studio. Hello, good morning. Yes, ma'am. We'll have you up here in just about a minute or two. Thank you.
Bump me back in. Let me do the Washington Mardi Gras promo, and then hit the Medical Monday intro.
That'll work.
keep that playing under me. Talk 107.3 is heading back to our nation's capital to celebrate Washington Mardi Gras. Join me and Gordy Rush Thursday, January 23rd and Friday the 24th as we broadcast live from the Washington Hilton for Mornings with Brian Haldane, as well as a special afternoon drive show from 4 to 6 each day. Our coverage is presented by Presley Wealth Management, Rev, and the National Wildlife Federation. Counting down to Washington Mardi Gras and looking forward to it. In fact, this is the week where we have all the meetings set up to start hammering out content and logistics and all that stuff. So I know y'all don't care about the behind the scenes of it, but man, we're bubbling up for some really good shows. Really good shows coming to you from our nation's capital. All right, it is 7:16 at Talk 107.3 FM. It is 34 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. It is time for Medical Monday. And with Medical Monday, we welcome in Dr. Tiffany Ardoin from Our Lady of the Lake. We're talking weight and wellness this morning. Dr. Ardoin, welcome aboard. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well as well. So I couldn't help but notice the timing on this. Our first installment of Medical Monday in the new year kind of revolves around something that is very closely tied to a lot of New Year's resolutions. So let's dive on in if we can. You are the program director and principal investigator for the Go Get Healthy clinical program. Let's talk about it. What is Go Get Healthy?
So Go Get Healthy, we have many partners in the community, but the Go Get Healthy community clinical program is a program at Our Lady of the Lake where we provide nutrition classes with nutrition education, cooking classes, grocery store tours, and access to resources in the community to community members who are food insecure. Mm-hmm. It started actually in 2020 with our clinical program, really providing a little bit more organization and partnership with the Mayor's Healthy City Initiative to create ways to provide that nutrition education to people in need who needed that nutrition education to be able to better provide healthy food for their families. And we have lots of local partnerships with Baton Roots and Top Box and the local American Heart Association chapter. And we have an affiliated research study just to make sure that we are making an impact and being cost effective.
When it comes to getting healthier, I mean, there's a combination of things there, and you mentioned the food insecurity. I want to dive in on that in just a second, but it's about education, it's about access, it's about initiative as well. Let's talk about that access part and the insecurity part, because I feel like here in Baton Rouge, there's been some strides made to kind of eliminate food deserts. Where are we on that front?
Right. So food insecurity is not having access to nutritious foods. The prevalence is about 10% 10% nationally, but it's 14% in Louisiana. We definitely have higher rates of that, and a big portion of that problem is food deserts and what's now called food swamps, where people don't have nutritious food in the immediate area to where they can access it through usually walking or public transportation. And in Louisiana, that's even more of a challenge. And so what happens is people end up eating foods that are more available to them, whether that be fast food restaurants that they can walk to or convenience stores that have ultra-processed foods. And with that leads to an increase in chronic diseases, things like diabetes, high blood pressure, even COPD, depression, anxiety. The list goes on. And not all of those are directly related to BMI or obesity, even though, that often comes along with food insecurity. It's irrespective of that as well.
We're talking with Dr. Tiffany Ardoin from Our Lady of the Lake about the Go Get Healthy initiative, GEAUX, of course, as we spell things down here. So to go along with that food insecurity, to go along with that access, are you talking about Baton Rouge specifically? Because we do have public transportation in Baton Rouge. I can't imagine a bus route that would include a fast food joint that doesn't include a grocery store. Are we broadening out here to cover a little bit more of the surrounding area?
I'm glad you asked that. Yes, that those numbers do include some of the more rural areas of Louisiana, and we have parts in Baton Rouge. If you look at a map and look at the census tracts and zip codes, you'll see pockets of increased food insecurity up to like 16%, but a lot of those higher percentages do involve the rural areas that have less transportation. But there are pockets in Baton Rouge. Yes, we have, public transportation with the bus system. But if you think about it, if you need to go to the grocery store, and this is the reality for some people, and that's just what has to happen. But if you were to have to go to the grocery store to get groceries, take a bus ride to the grocery store, 30 minutes to an hour, and then 30 minutes to an hour back, lugging handfuls and handfuls of whatever you can carry of groceries, that is not going to be ideal, especially if you have to walk half a mile or a mile after you get back to your bus stop in whatever Louisiana weather conditions there are. So, yes, that is definitely the way many people need to get their groceries, but often if it's going through that track versus, walking a half a block to the fast food restaurant or to the convenience store down the street, sometimes people are going to make that second option.
Well, when it comes to full-on grocery stores, though, we'll never be saturated enough. I mean, from a grocery store standpoint, we'll never be that oversaturated. What are the other solutions within?
Yes, so food stamps have been the most effective way to address food insecurity thus far. But that's outside of improving the economy. Improving the economy would, of course, help everything. Yeah. But that's a much bigger ask. But food stamps have been the most effective studied intervention thus far. But there's a big push in medicine right now, and in partnership with public health, and studying effective ways to address food insecurity downstream to see, what methods work and what's cost effective. And this has been termed the Food is Medicine Initiative, and it's part of the greater Food is Medicine Initiative, where we are trying to improve health with food, which is, the way that we should all try to maintain and prevent chronic disease is by eating healthy. But these different interventions include things like delivering groceries to people's homes, delivering meal kits to people's homes, including ways to teach people how to utilize these foods. So a combination of education and then limiting that barrier of transportation by delivering foods and goods to people's homes through Instacart and other businesses like our local Top Box that provides fresh fruits, vegetables, frozen meats to people's homes. So there's options. We just have to figure out what's most cost effective and what's actually going to help improve health.
All right, now let's bring this back in directly to the Go Get Healthy program and how the program itself is morphing in this year, or making some changes in this year to help stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, so this year we are very excited through a new partnership with Sprouts. We are expanding our classes to not only include adult participants, but we are including children now and having family-oriented classes where we are flipping the script a little bit and making it more interactive, although the cooking classes are very interactive. Hands-on cooking classes is what we provide, not just observation. But now we are incorporating some little games and educational activities for children to include the whole family, get the whole family involved. And I think that's going to be very effective and fun for families to get together, because we know that most of our nutrition education occurs in childhood through schools. And then after that, there's not really a formal way to continue your education in nutrition. And a lot of children teach their parents and their families about what they learn in school regarding nutrition. And so hopefully this can just really solidify those behaviors and that knowledge of nutrition in the home.
Okay, so you talk about basically a trickle-up effect, if you will, to go from the kid back up to the parents. You mentioned a little while ago about the time it takes to get to and from the grocery store. But Dr. Ardoin, the time it takes to meal prep, to plan out, to cook out, to go healthy, that's another battle that has to be fought, doesn't it?
It is a battle. I think that eating nutritiously is not easy. It's a challenge, whether it comes to cost or putting in the time to prepare the meals. The less processed the foods you buy and the more natural you want to eat, the more time it's going to take to prepare those meals and meal prep for the week, especially with all of our busy schedules and the way that life works nowadays. You have to put in the time, and it's important to prioritize that if your health is important to you, and that just takes in a lot of planning and work on the front end. And you are absolutely right that it does take that time.
What about overcoming? So the time is one battle, the cost is one battle, the availability is the battle. Retraining your taste buds is an under talked about part of this. It's something as simple as I don't like broccoli. How does the program work on that front as too to talk about there's flavors out there other than salt?
Absolutely. So we work a lot on using different spices to season dishes to hopefully avoid the added sugars and the salt, and create healthier recipes. We also will incorporate different things for participants to try. We have a chili recipe, and we'll incorporate some ground turkey for people to try, and most people don't even know that it's ground turkey instead of ground meat. We have a parfait recipe where we put different fruits in it, and you would not believe that some of our participants have never tried blueberries before. Some of our participants have never tried avocados before. And just, allowing people to try different things that they haven't tried before and really expand that palate. And there's so many options when it comes to food that if you don't like something, that's fine. You don't force yourself to eat it. There's another option out there. You just have to try it out and hopefully have access to somebody that can help you work through that and find some healthy, delicious alternatives, because there really are, with all the seasonings we have and all the options we have today, there are plenty of healthier options that are actually tasty.
We got Dr. Tiffany Ardoin with us. This is Medical Monday, presented by the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake. We're talking about the Go Get Healthy program. I want to pivot back to the classes that are for both the kids and the parents, getting together to work as a family unit. Tell me a little bit more about those particular classes and more specifically how folks can sign up.
Yeah, so those classes will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have two locations. One's at Our Lady of the Lake North off of Airline Highway, and one's at Our Lady of the Lake Picardy off of Picardy Avenue, and so on the north and south sides of town. And those classes, again, will be geared towards both parents and their children. But if you don't have, children with you, you are definitely welcome to come as well. We have classes for everybody, but they're a combination of nutrition classes, cooking classes, hands-on cooking classes, and grocery store tours to really get that well-rounded nutrition education. And we utilize the American Heart Association Healthy for Life curriculum. And to find out more about our program, you can go to www.healthybr.com/GGH. And you are always welcome to email us at ggh@fmolhs.org.
Last one before we get you out of here, Doc, and that's every time we start talking about health and when the conversation leads to food insecurity, the conversation leads to the underprivileged. This program is open to everybody, is it not?
Correct. So in the past, we were limiting our availability to those who are food insecure and those who have other social determinant of health needs and lower socioeconomic status. But we have recently had the ability to open up to other people. So all are welcome, and we want to provide that nutrition education and access to resources to anyone who would love to be a part of our classes.
She is Dr. Tiffany Ardoin talking about Go Get Healthy. This has been Medical Monday presented by Our Lady of the Lake. Dr. Ardoin, thank you so much for hopping on board.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Of course, Medical Monday kicking us off at the beginning of king cake season, right? I mean, today's Feast of the Epiphany. It's now officially okay to dig into some king cake. I'm fumbling for a segue to talk about Mathern's. Look, hey, they have the heart healthy food at Mathern's for sure. You want to stay on the outside of the grocery store, as they say, make the perimeter, as it were. Hit up that produce section to be sure. But Mathern's has got you covered for everything on the outside and inside as well. Downtown on 3rd Street or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, as it is Mardi Gras season. King cakes are readily available at both locations, every flavor under the sun that you could possibly imagine, whether you're just a traditionalist or want to dive in on some of the flavored and stuffed king cakes as well. They've got you covered at both locations, the Mathern's. And before those Mardi Gras balls get here, if you need to bring a tray of food, if you need to help out a little bit with what's going to be on your table at a Mardi Gras ball, hit up Mathern's.com or download the Mathern's Rewards app today. Mathern's has got you covered all carnival long. It's 7:30. Here's news. All right. Sorry, I've been dialed out over here. Oh, Doug Peterson's been fired as well. So where are we at now? So who's without a coach right now? Saints, Jets, Bears, Patriots, and Jaguars, right? Been telling you big news is coming from our sponsor of This Day in History.
Yeah.
5-Star Printing and Signs. That big news will be revealed today.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, on This Day in History. It's a big thing. It's not going to sound like a big thing, but it's a big thing. Let me refill my water. Nope. Visit Parish.
And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned.
If I so much as see an attorney, I'm going to punch him right in the throat. I hate attorney. Why does this guy hate attorneys so much? Every time I hear this commercial, I'm like, man, these dudes got hard on for attorneys. Like, jeez, them. Don't you dare confuse me with an attorney, you son of a bitch.
I know I sound like an attorney, but my God, if there's one thing that grinds my gears, it's attorneys.
He's so passionate. And he's talking about getting out of a contract.
Right.
I think you would want to hire an attorney to get out of a contract. I swear to God, don't you dare confuse me with an attorney. I'm Chuck McDowell, mother. It's so stupid.
Oh, man.
Oh.
This guy's definitely got compared to attorneys before. You think I'm an attorney? Do I look like an attorney?
I think his wife slept with an attorney. That's... He's
even
got his
sound
own
like
things
an
going on. We've got some winter weather, and it looks like it's going to be sticking around for a little while. With your full forecast, here's WBRZ meteorologist Emma Kate Cowan. Facebook, all right. If y'all heard that commercial before, I'm sorry. I randomly put my headset up to the microphone there for that. Have y'all heard that one before? Oh, whoa. Watch JFK smoking gun. Okay, I shall. Where would I find that? .738 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hey, Talk 107.3 presents a weekly conversation with St. George Mayor Dustin Yates Monday afternoons at 5 p.m. It's called Mondays with the Mayor. You can watch the show each week on the City of St. George Facebook page. Mondays with the Mayor with St. George Mayor Dustin Yates Monday afternoons at 5 p.m. right here on Talk 107.3 FM. It is time for us to check in with Will Green, President and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Happy New Year, Will. How are you, sir?
Brian, I'm doing well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. The new year means kind of refreshing the calendar over at La B. What are we looking at? What are our priorities for 2025?
Yeah, so 2025 is a big year for us. It's a special year. It's actually our 50th anniversary. We were founded in 1975 as the entity to pass right-to-work legislation, and since then, we have grown and expanded and evolved and retooled. And so we're going to try to take advantage of 2025 as a year to celebrate our past and continue to build on our future.
All right. How do we do that? What's on the calendar to start things off?
Well, we got a busy year, Brian. I mean, it starts out today with our apprenticeship summit. That's the summit that I believe we've talked about before. We're partnering with Committee of 100 on our apprenticeship summit, where businesses are given kind of a how-to guide on welcoming students into the workplace, and that's in response to an initiative that was supported by Bessie, passed by Bessie, supported by us and many other education advocates, as an effort to get more apprenticeship-focused work-based learning into our high schools. And so we feel by building a successful apprenticeship program that businesses can invest in our future workforce and the lives of so many students. So we've got close to 100 stakeholders, business owners, current businesses that have successful apprenticeships coming to lobby today to meet with experts around education and workforce to exchange ideas, and again, kind of give businesses that are curious a how-to guide on welcoming students into the workplace. And so that's today. And then, Brian, as you know, the next really big event, which is one of our keystone events in February, is our lobby annual meeting.
Yep. Annual meeting, I believe I said 18th or 19th.
Yeah, so February 18th is our member and legislative VIP reception, and that'll be at the Lobby Center for Free Enterprise. That'll start at 6:30. And then we roll the next day into our annual meeting, which is at the Crown Plaza. We'll have a morning panel of experts at I believe, 9:30. And then the luncheon, doors open at around 11. And then we will have our keynote speaker, who we're excited to have, Charles Payne, who is you, I'm sure you're familiar with, financial analyst, author, Fox News contributor of Making Money with Charles Payne. He will be our keynote speaker. So we're excited to have him, especially with a new administration coming in. We're in a fiscal session here in Louisiana to really kind of talk about the economy on a national level, and also, what does Louisiana have to look at?
Awesome stuff. And as always, I shouldn't be so presumptive, but hoping I can be turning my show over to the y'all on the 19th, as we do every year.
Yeah, no, that's always a great opportunity to visit with you, Brian, and have you there. So, no, we look forward to having you on site.
Very cool stuff. We got Will Green, the president and CEO of LABI, on with us, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. They are your state's Chamber of Commerce. Will, if we can go back up to the apprenticeship part of this real quick, because I feel like this is something that was lost in America in the last, let's say, half century or so, but we're starting to see a resurgence of it. Let's talk about how applicable and how, versatile apprenticeships can be, because this is something that it just used to be the way that we were, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's an opportunity for businesses to open their doors, welcome students in, give students an opportunity to kind of get hands-on training, right? I mean, I can remember, a good example of this. This is definitely not an apples-to-apples comparison, but I remember thinking, went to law school and sat in the classroom and learned a lot about the law, but I really didn't know how to learn how to be a lawyer until I clerked in the summers, working in law firms, handling, cases and work and things like that, assisting other attorneys. So it's very similar. So rewind that back to high school, right? I mean, you're in the classroom, you're learning, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But it's hard to envision how that plays out in a real work setting. Right. And so what an apprenticeship does is it gives students the opportunity to kind of go in to a real work setting, hands-on, train, expand their knowledge, and then it gives businesses hopefully a mentorship opportunity, a pipeline to future employees. And so we think it's a win-win.
No, it absolutely is. And when you rewind it all the way back to the classroom, the number of times a student asks the question, well, when am I ever going to use this in real life? This is where you get your answers.
That's right. Yeah, I asked myself that question a lot when I was in high school.
But along with apprenticeships comes internships as well. And I feel like internships pretty much, I don't want to say replaced apprenticeships, but I feel like we skipped a step there. They both play a viable role in growing a workforce.
No, absolutely right. I mean, they're both a needed tool and a necessary tool in order to educate students on the opportunities out there and in order to fill the workplace shortage gap that we have here in Louisiana.
We're talking with Will Green, president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. That mentorship factor is a big part of this as well. Where are we at when it comes to the willingness, the want to for folks that, they don't even have to be business owners, but business leaders in all facets to want to train the next generation?
Well, I mean, I think there's definitely a little bit of the unknown, right? I mean, what does it mean to allow, a 17, 16-year-old onto my workplace, my work site? I mean, what are the barriers there? What are the challenges there? Is it easy? Is it difficult? And so that's, I think, a big reason we wanted to have this summit is to ease a lot of those concerns, answer a lot of those questions, to give business owners contact with actual their counterparts or some of their other business owners in the area that have successful apprenticeship programs, to say, look, it's a win-win. It's something that's easy to do. And so that they can see kind of how the process starts, how it works, how it can be successful, and just to make everybody a little more comfortable with that process.
We're talking with Will Green, president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. That is, of course, going on today with the apprenticeships. Let's fast forward back to February 19th. For those who are unfamiliar with y'all's annual meeting, what can they expect from it?
Yes, I mean, our annual meeting, I think, is one of the largest gathering of business and industry in the state of Louisiana. And it puts together experts in many different fields, business owners, both small and large, from all over the state in one place, exchanging ideas. And whenever you can get that many people in the same room together as business and industry, good conversations happen, good things happen. And so we try to do that and bring everybody together the night before at our VIP reception. It's a laid back, good time where again, we try to hopefully spark a lot of different conversation amongst our members and peers and legislators. And, it's a couple months before the legislative session. And so ideas are still churning there on what legislation is necessary and what business owners need to continue to grow and succeed in Louisiana. And then we roll into the next day. We have our board meeting and we welcome a new group of emerging leaders in our Emerging Leaders Council. We welcome a new group of board members. We have our morning panel, which is normally experts. Depending on, this year we're in a fiscal session. And so we're looking at bringing in some experts to kind of tell us what are the metrics or, what have we done good in the tax arena after the special session and maybe what's more work we need to do in order to make Louisiana more competitive. Mm-hmm. And then we roll into our luncheon where we have our keynote speaker again, it's Charles Payne, to talk about, kind of the state of America as well as Louisiana as it relates to our economy.
It is without a doubt one of the best precursors of what to expect in a regular session. I know it's just shy of 2 months out from when the session gets underway. But man, if you want that sneak preview, if you want to know what to be on the lookout for once April hits, the annual meeting for LABI is one of the best spots to do that. If I'm not mistaken, is registration already open over at labi.org?
Go to labi.org. We are accepting registrations, and we usually sell out pretty quickly. And so I would encourage you to reach out to through the website, reach out to Elena LaCour at our office, and if you want to get, you can get individual tickets or you can buy tables, but those go pretty fast. And so I'd encourage everybody, if you're interested, any of your listeners, to reach out today to try to get some of those tickets or buy a table.
All right, we got about a minute and a half left with Will Green from LABI. Last one on the annual meeting is that when you talk about the fiscal session, are we to expect a little bit less of, how do I put this the right way? LA Driven is off and running and has a ton of momentum. How do you keep up that momentum with limited bills allowed that aren't fiscal?
Well, LA Driven, we transformed it into a living, breathing document by implementing a lot of the LA Driven themes and a lot of the recommendations into our program of work. And our program of work, Brian, is, what guides us through the legislative process. It's what tells us, what bills we support, what we monitor, what we may oppose. And then we take that, to our issue councils, and, they give us that direction. And so LA Driven will continue to, we checked a lot of boxes in 2024. There's still a lot of work left to do. I mean, things like insurance reform, things like centralized sales tax collection system, fully repealing the inventory tax. These are things that LA Driven points out we need to do to move our state forward. And those are the things that we're going to continue to work in 2025 to do to move our state forward. Love to hear it. He is Will Green, President, CEO of LABI. We always appreciate the time, sir. Talk to you next week. Thanks, Brian. Thank you. We're coming up on 750 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, which means we need to check your money now. Coming back on the back end of that, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser obviously has some critiques of his own about the terror attack that happened on Bourbon Street. We'll hear some audio from him next. I have to get something off the printer. I shall return.
Teresa, another Only Murders fan. Really good stuff. Get the Hulu, ESPN, Disney bundle. Troy, yeah, it's good stuff. Let's see. Keep adding live channels. Amazon Prime, yeah.
It got colder in here.
That room or what?
No.
No
It's
heater?
just cold.
There's no heater.
Yeah. Cold as balls in that stairwell. Oh, so Facebook, our building's actually two buildings, and it's like connected by an adjoining stairwell, and you can tell it's two buildings because the stairs are uneven. Like the fourth floor on this side is higher than the fourth floor on that side by half a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
So, there's no AC nor heat in that stairwell. The only AC and heat just kind of flows out from when the doors are open on either side. So on a morning like this morning, yeah.
All that cold, man. Was it two separate buildings?
Yeah, that was the original Baton Rouge General Hospital.
And this part was just
added.
So basically just an alleyway? Or no?
No.
Oh, no. It was just added.
Yeah, this.
Okay.
Yeah. This
I just didn't know if it
entire
was two
building
separate
was an
buildings.
addition.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if it acted as two separate buildings and an alleyway in between that they just kind of combined with the stairwell. I don't know. Okay. Cool.
That's why we're technically 929B on Government Street.
Yeah. Christmas party I was sitting with, I cannot believe I forgot their names, but they were talking about how this one woman, she worked here 40 some odd years ago, you know, and she was telling me the history behind the hospital and things like that. And how the cafeteria was the morgue. And I'm like, oh, that explains a lot.
Isn't it cool that our Christmas party's open to former employees as well?
That is really cool.
It's like once you're here like for life.
Yeah. Really fascinating. Thought that was awesome.
All right, I'm going to drop a hint on what the news is from 5 Star when we come back in.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Oh, we're done with the Golden Globes, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I printed out all the winners.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at the... I was scrolling through.
$756 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Coming up in hour 3, we've, oh man, we got a busy hour 3 today. It's, well, of course, we're going to have This Day in History. Oh, John.
Yeah.
This Day in History is, of course, presented by 5 Star Printing and Signs.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we got some news. We got some news on 5 Star Printing and Signs. I'll save it till This Day in History.
Chomping at the bit.
All right, yeah, no, I'll save it. I'll let me give this hint. The news is kind of a big deal. There's your hint. Kind of a big deal.
The anticipation.
Yep. That's coming up next hour. We got 5 Star Printing and Signs brings you This Day in History. That'll be at 8:06. Moon Griffon joining us at 8:15. Oh, we got so much to talk about with Moon. And then we're going to wrap up our guest list with Walt Leger from New Orleans and Company. He's the president and CEO of New Orleans and Company, talking about tourism in the Big Easy, obviously, overall. But specifically, I mean, on this, the Feast of the Epiphany, the opening of the carnival season. Mardi Gras, officially starts today. So let's talk about putting New Orleans's foot forward. You can't put a best foot forward right now, but how do you put one foot in front of the other walking you up to the Super Bowl? We'll talk with Walt Leger about everything from security to promotion to walking that balance between celebrating and honoring, because a lot of that's got to be done right now. That's all coming up next hour. Right now, though, well, I guess we're staying on that same topic, really. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser was criticizing leadership in New Orleans following the terror attack on Bourbon Street, labeling the response as lacking. Nungesser expressed frustration with the absence of the bollards at the key entrances.
My frustration is built up, and to know these balances were taken out for Super Bowl, for repairs for Super Bowl, how could the Sugar Bowl crowds not be as important as Super Bowl? It angered me.
See, and I get his anger from start to finish, but it's tough not to walk down the path of being a Monday morning quarterback on this one. Rewind the clock by 2 months. Rewind the clock by a month. Nobody was talking about the Sugar Bowl. Nobody was talking about the New Year's Eve celebration. And New Orleans has a big New Year's Eve celebration. And the Sugar Bowl as a quarterfinal for the college football playoff was going to be a big game. But it's been all eyes on the Super Bowl up until now. It's hard to backtrack and say, yeah, this was as important. But, I mean, if things went off without a hitch, if we did not have a terror attack on New Year's morning, nobody would have gone back and said, boy, we dodged, we really missed getting hit right there, because it was all eyes on the Super Bowl and has been. So if you're Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, whose main gig is culture, tourism, and recreation, or culture, recreation, and tourism, sure, this is going to be on his plate. He talked about, he was out in California at the time for the Tournament of Roses parade.
I grew angry. And I grew angry maybe because of my 8 years of working with the leadership in New Orleans, frustrated on cleaning up the quarter, making it safer.
And the thing is, they've netted so many results to clean up and make it safer. This was something of a completely different, just a completely different thing. Here comes news. Big Ben, Parliament.
I'm sorry, man.
Hey, kids, look, it's Big Ben, Parliament. Big Ben, Parliament. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We are at 34 degrees to start your 8 o'clock hour. It is a busy 8 o'clock hour to be sure. We got Moon Griffon coming up a little over 10 minutes from right now. I'm sorry, a little under 10 minutes from right now. We've got Walt Leger joining us as well. Walt is currently the president CEO of New Orleans and Company. Former Speaker Pro Tem in the Louisiana legislature, going to talk to us about moving New Orleans forward as we get closer to the Super Bowl. Not just the preparation and whatnot, and the security concerns and whatnot, just the overall efforts and kind of walking that balance right now. Walking that balance right now of getting back to being such a celebratory city while not losing the honor of those who lost their lives. We'll talk with Walt coming up at 8:35. Right now, though, it's time for This Day in History. Hey, John.
Hey.
Been teasing it all morning. 5-Star Printing and Signs has got some news, man. Some pretty big news, to be sure. They have moved. Oh, yeah. And if you're in Denham Springs, if you're off range, you're right in the heart of it. They're at 115 Aspen Square in Denham Springs now.
Oh.
That puts them right next door to Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I say it's kind of a big deal, well, Big Mike's is kind of a big deal.
It is.
This move is kind of a big deal. This puts Danny and his team front and center. So, hey, Denham Springs, actually, everybody within the listening area should be get the heads up here, because along with the move comes a little bit bigger facility. They're going to be taking on more capacity while not losing the personal touch that you've grown to know and love. They provide the best, I mean absolute best printing services, and now it's closer to you. 115 Aspen Square. Give them a call, 225-271-4096. 225-271-4096. Printing, signs, apparel, banners, graphic design, promotional items. Oh, they've got the merch and so much merch. 271-4096 or printshop5.com, or swing on by. Check out the new digs at 115 Aspen Square for 5-Star Printing and Signs.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Hey, let's start off in 1681, where the first recorded boxing match is organized by Christopher Monk, second Duke of Alburn? I don't know. Between his butler and his butcher.
His butler and his butcher?
Right.
Why would they fight?
I don't know, man. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I thought that was really fascinating. 1838, Samuel Morse and Alfred Vail demonstrate their telegraph machine in New Jersey, of course, giving us Morse code.
Yeah.
1929 here, Mother Teresa arrives in Calcutta to begin her work amongst India's
Wait, what day was the first boxing match?
1681.
Okay. All right.
Second Duke of...
Yeah, I was making sure, because the Marquise of Queensberry, perhaps pronounced Marquez, Marquise of Queensberry, that was where the rules for boxing were first kind of evolved, and that was about a year later.
I would love to know what the dispute was between the butler and the butcher.
I would like to know as well. I would
you know what?
Just leaving meat all over the house.
Oh man.
Well, all
butler
right.
just had enough.
Sorry, derailed it.
No, you're good. 1941 here. U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt delivers his 4 freedom speech: freedom of speech and worship, freedom from want and fear, during his U.S. State of the Union address.
Okay. Oh, hey, this day is 1759.
Okay.
This is a little bit earlier than that. Talk about another president. On this day in 1759, guess who got married?
Who's that?
George Washington.
Okay.
Oh, he got hitched with Martha Dandridge of Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Or in Virginia.
Worth noting, yeah, for sure. Hey, Schoolhouse Rock today, 1973, premiered on ABC TV.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a big Schoolhouse Rock guy.
Speaking of premieres, 1975, Wheel of Fortune debuts on NBC.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Music news here. This is fascinating. 1979, Village People's YMCA becomes their only UK #1 single. At its peak, it sells over 150,000 copies per day.
Man, that's the only one? Macho Man never made the cut?
I guess not.
In the Navy? I guess in the Navy wouldn't. Well, they got a British Royal Navy.
Yeah.
That's
maybe.
Those are the only 3 Village People songs I know off the top
That's
of my head.
pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
That's all they released, right?
Not really.
No.
Not really celebrating the full catalog. DJing at weddings. I was DJing a wedding Saturday night. I did not play the Village People.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that a common?
Very much so.
Common request?
Very, very much so. Yes.
Throw on Macho Man.
No.
YMCA?
YMCA. It's always YMCA.
Still,
Yep.
Wow. Still going strong after all these years.
Yep.
Hey, 1994, U.S. figure skating champion Nancy Kerrigan is attacked by Tonya Harding's bodyguard at the U.S. Championships in Detroit. Of course, documented in the film.
Yeah.
By Tonya.
Tonya Harding, Jeff Gillooly.
Yeah.
That was my Nancy Kerrigan impression.
Oh, okay. Hey, 2021, of course.
It was pretty on point.
It was.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. 2021, of course, storming of the United States Capitol today.
Yep. 4 years ago today.
Oof.
Yep.
Anything else today?
No, that was it as far as events were concerned because we got a stack of birthdays.
We do, starting with Rowan Atkinson.
You're gonna start with Mr. Bean.
Well,
you're starting with Mr. Bean.
If you saw my screen, he's honestly at the top of the list right
Born on this day in 1955, Mr. Bean tops your list.
Hey, who else is on?
I mean,
we're looking at a different list, but really at the top of mine, I don't know why he's actually number 2.
Okay.
Number 1 is a rapper.
Who's the rapper?
Some guy named Matty B. Who's that?
I don't even know Matty
See,
B. Why would that guy be topping that list?
Right.
I don't know.
Who do you?
Well, I got a ton of sports figures were born today.
I've got Norman Reedus as well.
I don't know who that is.
Walking Dead.
See, I was never a Walking Dead fan.
Yep.
Okay, born on this day in 1937, Lou Holtz.
Okay.
Hall of Fame Notre Dame head coach. Also coached, did pretty well over there at South Carolina.
Yep.
And a bit of a TV and motivational speaking career as well. Lou Holtz, born on this day in 1937. 1961, Hallie Long, Raiders defensive end, Hall of Fame Raiders defensive end, and on Fox Sports' NFL coverage. 1964, another Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame defensive end, this time from the Cowboys and 49ers, Charles Haley, born on this day in 1964. Former LSU Tiger Kevin Gosman, born on this day in 1991. And everybody's favorite former Saints quarterback, Jameis Winston, born on this day in 1994.
All right. Also got Eric Trump here.
Oh, okay.
Moving on to deaths.
Yep.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yep.
Top of that list. And Louis Braille, of course, inventor of the
Really?
Braille. Yes.
Okay. Yep. I missed out on Louis Braille there. Sidney Poitier died on this day in 2022.
And him as well.
Yep. That was had him, and Dizzy Gillespie died on this day in 1993.
All right.
Yep, those were the ones that I had.
All
National days?
Three Kings Day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Feast of the
Good day.
Epiphany.
Yep.
Yep. Three Kings Day, 12th night. Start of the Mardi Gras season. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. It's today. We can officially eat king cake as of today.
Yes, indeed.
It's
I cheated, ate it yesterday.
Well, okay, but what time though?
Oh, it was early.
But here's the reason why. So as a Catholic,
Mhm.
we celebrate the Epiphany if it falls on a Monday, you celebrate the feast day on that Sunday before. So technically, once I got out of mass yesterday, I was good to go.
So you were good. Okay, so
yeah, I did not eat.
So what time would
cake.
it be after?
I went to mass at 10:30.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're looking at around lunchtime. You're like, you know what?
Yeah, I did not partake in any king cake. I'm gonna be a slow adapter this year.
Yeah.
Going back to that getting healthy
Might be a
segment.
good thing. Yeah, exactly.
No, totally. It's 8:14 at Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. Come back. We got Moon Griffon next.
Hey, good morning, Moon. This is John with Brian Haldane. Just looking to have you on the show, so when you can, give me a call back. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
What the heck, Moon? Don't do this to me, Moon. Don't do it to me, Moon. You know what?
We're gonna go back to those Billy Nunn guesser cuts if he doesn't call back in.
Okay. You want me to call him back?
Give it a minute or two.
Okay.
You can try them out. .818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along, trying to connect with Moon Griffon as we're getting our calendar year back squared away as we try to get back on our normal schedule here. We hadn't talked to Moon in a couple weeks, and hoping to connect with him this morning. I'll tell you what. In the meanwhile, though, I kind of want to go back to another story that we had that we started in on, but I just want to revisit it from the top. Going back to those cuts from Billy Nungesser, if you could, John. Before we get to that, though, got to remind you about the folks over at Parish Construction and Roofing. ParishBuilt.com is the website. ParishBuilt.com. It is a new year. Do you need a new roof? Parish Construction and Roofing needs to be your first stop along the way. So, rewind to a couple months ago. The missus and I were noticing we needed to re-up our homeowners insurance. And when we got in touch with our insurance agent, we were told that, man, you are so overdue for a new roof that there's no discounts available, and your rate's probably going to go up no matter where you go, no matter how you shop around. You're going to end up with higher rates for your homeowners insurance. So we said, you know what? Time to get somebody up on the roof to see how bad it is. Got Parish out there. Zach was my contact, and could not have been happier with the process from start to finish. He got up on the roof, showed us the high-def pictures, showed us where the damage was. Turns out we did need an entire new roof. Got in touch with the insurance agency, and from there, it was a breeze. It was a pleasurable experience. You talk about dealing with a roof and an insurance company, and it was a pleasurable experience? Yes, it absolutely was. It absolutely was. All because Parish holds your hand the whole way through. From the adjustment process, through the paperwork, through choosing your shingles, to the installation, all the way through putting solar panels back up for our water heater. ParishBuilt.com is the website, ParishBuilt.com. All right, it is a new year, and we welcome in, for the first time in 2025, Moon Griffon. Moon, how are you, brother?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I never took that much time off. So I almost came back Thursday, Brian. There was so much going on with the speaker and what happened in New Orleans. And I'm just I decided just to go and enjoy myself. It's back, and it's all in front of us. I'm looking forward to the year.
You had Clay Higgins filled in for you one day, and I gotta go back and get that audio. He gave a little monologue about the long and the short of it was about why conservatives aren't always in lockstep the way Democrats are. And Moon, I got to tell you, I would never expect to be that inspired. And I'm not taking a shot at Clay, but to be inspired by the words coming out of Clay Higgins' mouth, it was beyond compare. If you look, I don't know. When I clock out, I clock out. So
no, when I clock out too. You have to
go back.
I didn't get to hear it at all. And the way I look at sub guests, if I never get a bunch of negative, I don't worry about it. So I didn't get, and I'm waiting for you to sub. By the way, Brian.
I know.
We're working on it.
But see, the thing is, Moon, you and I, when we're going hard, we're going hard. So when it's time to have off, your time off and my time off, they seem to line up too much. So let's see if over the summertime we can't space that by a week.
You and me take most of the holidays that everybody else gets.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
Kind of, but I was going to tell you, I didn't get to hear it, so I'm going to have to go back and listen to it. We got it on tape. I just didn't get to hear it.
No, I highly recommend. It was moving, dude. It was not what I was expecting from Congressman Higgins. All right, we got a lot. Go ahead.
One of the things I was going to tell you was that it had to do a little bit with what I talked about today was, of course, what happened in New Orleans is a nightmare. It once again put a bad light on our city, even though that could happen anywhere.
Right.
You know that as well as I do. Tell you what's sombering, Brian. I am very good friends. My family is very good friends with the Best family, Jack Best and Walker. My son played ball together through junior high, some in the high school. We know the Best family really, really well. And Tiger Best, sad story. He was one of the ones that was killed New Year's Eve or New Year's morning. And they did a wake yesterday. They're doing a funeral today. And I was one of the first ones to get there because I had to go early. And it was so somber. It just broke my heart to be sitting in that line. And the story is real simple. He was working in Wall Street, and his best friend working in Wall Street, his good friend never been to New Orleans before, and decided to go, for New Year's, and wanted to go, and they went. They went out to eat with Tiger's mom, Marty, and Michelle, who are just super people, and they're New Orleans people. She's from here, but he's from there.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out to eat that night, and Marty and Michelle drove back, and Tiger and his friend went out. They have a good time on Bourbon Street. Young people, 25, 26, 27. We've all been there. And but this stuff happened to his buddy. Died too. He got a phone call off before he died, telling his mom and daddy had been in a horrific situation. To please call Tiger's mom and dad. He's bad too. And the kid went on and died, and then Tiger ended up dying too. So I'm sitting there yesterday just going, all the things we fuss and bicker and complain. I can't imagine burying a child. And it doesn't really matter how a child dies. Okay? If you lose a child, that's tough.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it does matter. And this was uncalled for. It shows how evil people can become and how evil it really is evil. It's bad. And people are dead for no reason at all. No reason at all. And I just wanted to mention that, not because I knew him. A lot of people know him way better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But to go to a funeral, this is the stuff, and I think you're going to agree with me. You read about stuff like this. You read about people getting killed like this. But once you see it happen to somebody man, that's tough. And by the way, Tiger and Jack came to my house because they were friends with Walker and Marty, or Daddy, one time too. I took a fishing a couple times. And it was funny because Tiger was the older brother, and Jack was the peewee. Well, Tiger ain't but about 5'7", maybe 5'8". Jack's about 6'2.5", 6'3", and a big old man. And I remember when Tiger was picking on him, I used to mess with Tiger and say, "Boy, you better quit picking on him. You don't know how big he's going to get." But when they came to go fishing with me a year or two ago, it was the other way around. Jack picked on him all the time, and Tiger said, "Won't leave it alone, Mr. Boone." I said, "I told you years ago, you don't know how them siblings will grow up." And it was a touching moment, and it hit home when you go to a funeral. It just hits home.
No, it absolutely does. And you're right about losing a child. I mean, even at 27, 28 years old, there's still, look, my oldest is about to go off to college, and I'm a wreck about it all the time. And incidents like this, no matter how old your kid is, as a parent, you just, you take pause, because it's like, there but for the grace of God go any of us.
Yeah.
So.
I brought it up because I was talking about. I got Liz Murrow coming on. She's gonna kind of give us a little update on what's going on. Maybe some things she can tell us at 9:30. And that's one of the things. The other thing is Mike Johnson got to be speaker, but it's 220 to 215. Now we didn't have a Republican already resign. Now it's 219 to 215. Yep. So literally, you have one vote to spare now to get anything passed. One vote.
Yes, and
that's gonna be tough.
It is going to be tough. That being said, though, am I wrong in thinking that once the President Trump is sworn back in, the numbers are going to be momentum generating? I know we don't have the overall numbers to have everything skate, but the level of consensus building that I'm hearing, there's a level of positivity coming out of Washington, D.C. right now that I haven't seen in some time. I don't know if maybe I'm being a little bit, too naive, too Pollyanna, but I feel like good things are on the horizon.
No, Brian, I think you're right. I think what happens is they surely got a mandate. Mm-hmm. People had enough of what we've been watching. People that voted, quote, if everything was legit last time, they voted for Biden, did vote for Kamala, however you want to say her name. Mm-hmm. And, Brian, I tell people all the time, hope is an awesome thing, man.
Yeah.
And I think you see a lot of hope is what you're looking at. And I got the same vibe you got. I'm just having a lot of hope that we're going to see some changes. I think Trump's going to do a lot of whatever he can do in executive orders, but eventually they're going to have to pass some stuff in the House and Senate.
Right.
So
And
let's hope what they pass is things that you and me will go, wow, we're taking some big moves and we're doing some things we need to do. So I like you. I feel the same way you feel. Look, I like Mike Johnson personally. I'm good friends. Mike's gonna have to get tough.
Yeah.
Mike's gonna have to get tough. And if Mike's not gonna be tough, Mike ain't gonna be the speaker long.
Well, and the flip side of it is that that's kind of where my hope springs from, is because when Mike Johnson was first elected speaker, we saw in his predecessor and Kevin McCarthy what it's like to have to step on eggshells every day. And Mike Johnson came in saying, "I'm not going to step on eggshells every day." Now there is a little bit of working with the other side of the aisle that has to go on. That's the nature of the job. But he did not handle his first year under the speakership the same way that McCarthy did.
No, he didn't. But here's the thing: he's still there. McCarthy's not. So Mike will always tell you that there's some good things going to happen with Trump coming in. A lot of these Republicans, all they got to have is all the Republicans do what the Democrats did.
Right.
When we got good legislation, everybody get behind and pass it. If they do that, they don't need a Democrat. They don't have to talk to one. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to talk to them. It ain't like the Baton Rouge. We got 2/3 in the House and 2/3 in the Senate. We cutting deals in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of deals you can cut to get Democrats over. It's still a tight vote, and Democrats seem to be on the same page, whether it's the right page or the wrong page. They all tend to be on the same page.
Which brings us right back around to the top. Go back and listen to that Clay Higgins bit. It's so worthwhile. Hey, before we get you out of here, let's bring it back around to New Orleans real quick.
Yes, sir.
How do we make sure that, as tragic as this event was, it doesn't derail all the progress that's been made over the last year?
That's a great question. Man, I don't know. I mean, we got a Super Bowl right around the corner.
Yeah.
We got Mardi Gras right around the corner. Whatever they do, they're going to have to get on top of it and stay on top of it really fast. It's out of my thought process. It's out of my brain power. I'll be the first to tell you. You're talking about law enforcement. You're talking about protecting millions of people, protecting people who, want to come in and do that, just have a good time. The other thing, Brian, is how much bad did it do? Because it was in New Orleans, which is having problems with crime and all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? How much bad did it do? How many people are saying, I'm not going there? There's always going to be people go, but I hope that doesn't take place. And I'm not talking about really in Louisiana. I'm talking about people that live outside of Louisiana that want to come have a good time.
Okay, and Moon, you bring up a great point right there. And over the holiday or later on New Year's, Governor Jeff Landry caught all kinds of hell for posting a picture on social media of going out to eat at a restaurant, talking about the resiliency of the city and whatnot. And look, I caught all kinds of hell on Twitter as well for having the governor's back, saying every moment that you don't say things are safe and secure in New Orleans is the moment that people are canceling their reservations. It's the moment that revenue is just draining out of the city. A lot of people called the governor tone deaf on that one, but man, I thought he was leading by example.
I think that's the problem in the whole country now. We're so caught up on feelings and how it looks on it. That's stupid. They go eat, they're taking a picture, they want to make it look like I agree 100% with you. I got an article to talk about that today. And it's so silly for us to be, he's having a good time. Let me tell you something. There's not one person that ever passed away that didn't want people to continue their life. Go talk to any veteran out there that was hurt, came back and didn't have the body parts that say, I fought for you. Go enjoy your life. And so I think Jeff did the right thing. People that wimp on that, that's just people that hate Jeff or hate conservatives or hate whatever. That's all. They just hate him. And I don't understand that, man. So he went to New Orleans, had a good time, showed, hey, it's still safe in areas to come to New Orleans. What's wrong with that?
I mean, it's so many people said read the room. Look, Moon, I don't want somebody to read the room. I want somebody to lead the room. He is Moon Griffon coming up at 9 o'clock. Glad to have you back in the saddle, brother. Let's get off to a great 2025.
All right. God bless. Thank you. As always, Brian.
You too. It is 8:30. Here's news. Oh, I know. Went a whole weekend without a death. I have to start working again. I got to run upstairs one more time, y'all. Well, then I made that trip up the stairs for no reason. Well, put these here so I can put them back where they belong. I need to just transfer. I got a stack of business cards on my desk.
Yeah.
It's like 3 inches tall. Which 3 inches doesn't sound big, but that's business cards.
For business cards, yeah. That's a lot.
I need to transfer everybody into my phone. Cold is the forecast, but I'm sure you'd like me to elaborate a little more than that. Here's what we got going on. The sun's going to peek its way out, or is peeking its way out today. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 45. Overnight low gets down to 29 degrees tonight. Yes, we will see sub-freezing temperatures tonight. Tomorrow we'll get right back up to 49 and back down to 29 again. Under really sunny skies tomorrow. Then some cloud cover moves back in on Wednesday with a high of 50, overnight low of 32. Thursday, rain back in the forecast, a 95% chance of rain. Well, that's just really specific. 95% chance of rain on Thursday with a high of 45 and an overnight low of 38. We're going to top out at 49 with more rain on Friday, top out at 50 on Saturday, 57 on Sunday. Right now it's cloudy and 34 in downtown Baton Rouge. .838 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Coach Kim Mulkey and the LSU Tigers will be at Tennessee, 5:30 p.m. on Thursday. You can hear the Tigers all season long on your home for LSU women's basketball. That's right here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right, Not going too long without taking our eyes off of New Orleans. We're keeping our eyes on New Orleans as the tragic events of New Year's morning will weigh on the city for some time. That being said, though, the Super Bowl is just around the corner. So let's talk about putting things back together, walking the balance, and making sure we're prepared. Joining us right now is the president and CEO of New Orleans and Company, Walt Leger. Walt, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm okay. Better today than last week, and we're going to just keep getting better every day as we go forward. It's been, as you said, challenging time, but we'll move forward, no question about it.
Is that kind of the mantra right now, is better today than yesterday?
It's certainly mine. I think that a lot of people feel like, our community in New Orleans and South Louisiana, across our state, we've been knocked down and we've learned how to get back up. And this is a horrible thing, perpetrated by a person intent on causing harm to people who are otherwise experiencing great joy. And it's really, I think today is a day of mourning, in particular with the vigil that's happening this evening at St. Louis Cathedral. And but even while we're mourning, I think people are very resolutely picking up the pieces and pressing forward and recognizing that it's when you have a spirit like we do in this part of the world, that nothing that one evil person does is going to stop us from shining through. And I think that's definitely the way that people are reacting to this, not just here, but around the country. The calls we've gotten from colleagues and cities that we compete with all the time for major events, just reaffirming their commitment and support for New Orleans and for Louisiana has been really uplifting at a time that's really challenging.
We're talking with Walt Leger, President and CEO of New Orleans and Company, as the city is trying to get ready for the Super Bowl. Walt, I want to ask you about the Monday morning quarterbacking going on with all this. When you have a city like New Orleans, a place like the French Quarter, a venue like we can offer like nobody else around the world can, is the Monday morning quarterbacking helpful? I mean, in rooting out possible things that could have gone wrong or could have been corrected, or is it detracting from progress and getting back on track?
Well, to me, it really depends on how you go about doing it. I think that Monday morning quarterbacking suggests that you're trying to use this that hindsight's 2020, and that you can somehow be critical of all the things that have happened before, and that's going to make a difference. I think the reality is what we need to do at this point is we need to be very thoughtful. Mm-hmm. We need to absolutely investigate and reflect upon what happened so that we can improve it. I think pointing fingers and blaming, I think at the end of the day, it's very clear who's to blame here. It's one person who set out to harm other people in a really awful, horrific, evil act. And so I think there's any number of things that could have been done differently that probably would have not changed the outcome, unfortunately, in any significant way. I tend to try to instead be a little more focused on the heroics of the law enforcement community, state, federal, local, especially those who were right there on the scene and took action immediately and prevented the further loss of life. We believe really firmly that for major events, the NOPD, state police, and that partnership of other regional law enforcement, they do this better than anyone else. As I've traveled around preparing for the Super Bowl in other cities, they talk often in those other cities about the things that they've learned from crowd control and safety in the way that we do things here in New Orleans. There's a reason we're doing our 11th Super Bowl. So I think we need to celebrate the excellence there. But furthermore, we do have to ask those difficult questions, and we have to move forward and make some changes where necessary. But we should also never lose focus that the French Quarter is a unique place. It is not only an entertainment district, it's also a vibrant neighborhood. It's also a historic district. And so as we look around the country and the world at best practices, we ought to pick and choose the things that work in other places, but recognize no other place is like this. It is unique. And so we've got to apply unique standards to what we do here. And then we've also got to be really strict about the process and the execution of whatever technology, of whatever new tools we put into place, because you can have the best technology and the best tools. It's execution and the use of those things that makes things safer and makes the tools that you've implemented effective. So we've got to be focused on all of those things.
As we've walked through this process of preparing for the Super Bowl, There's been a very public punch list of what needs to be taken care of. Looking back on it, and not to Monday morning quarterback it, but looking back on it, was terrorism on anybody's radar, before this happened?
I think the answer is probably yes to some extent. I think that there's always been a recognition that there is the possibility of it, and I think that planning and how you implement public safety is going to encompass those things. I think what's difficult about this is it's in this moment, as we continue to mourn and as we continue to grieve what happened here, it's rational and reasonable that you would allow this one event to take to overshadow things. It's one night of one horrific act that changed people's lives forever, and for that we'll always be a little bit more cautious and a little bit more focused on it. But it shouldn't overshadow the thousands of nights that have gone before it, where tens of thousands of people gathered and celebrated safely. We've hosted, 150 million people in the French Quarter over the last 10 to 15 years or so, and done it without a single incident like this one. And so I think that's the kind of approach we've got to really stay focused on as we move forward, an analytical one, a thoughtful one, try to take the emotion out of the actual law enforcement and other response, and be really focused on the facts here so that we can protect this historic neighborhood, this entertainment district, this cultural destination that has 10 or 15 really incredible museums and other attractions in it, and let it be that very special place that it can continue to be. But yeah, I think on the radar, but certainly much more in focus now.
We're talking with Walt Leger, President and CEO of New Orleans and Company. Okay, let's get back over to prep overall, because like I said, there was quite the punch list when talking about blight, when talking about homelessness, when talking about repairs. Where are we on the schedule, or are we on schedule for early February?
Well, the NFL and the host committee have been working on preparations for many years now, and I think very much on schedule to be ready. The governor you saw issued an emergency declaration on January the 2nd that had been planned to come out even before this event occurred, relative to dealing with some of the homelessness issues and some of the other things that are lingering. But I think great progress has been made. Obviously, this changes the thought process a little bit with this event, but I think the focus and the commitment to being ready, willing, and able to put on a world-class event on February the 9th remains, and has maybe just sharpened and the focus even a little bit more so than it was before. So you'll recall we put on the first Super Bowl after 9/11 here in New Orleans, and adjustments had to be made then as well, because the world changed on that day in 2001. And so our city is uniquely built to host these special events, not just because the walkability and the great venues and the French Quarter and the Convention Center and the Superdome are positioned well, but because the people who do these events are truly experts and professional at it, from the Superdome, the Convention Center, our local law enforcement community, our regional law enforcement community that works closely with NOPD to make these things happen. So the professionalism is going to shine through here as we lead up to it. We're going to put on an incredible event, and I think it was a testament to those professionals that were able to bounce back really quickly and deliver an incredible Sugar Bowl experience just 24 hours after such a horrific terrorist attack. I think we know that by February we'll be more than ready. And by the way, we're hosting meetings right now. We've got groups showing up today for meetings at hotels. We've got conferences and conventions coming in over the next several weeks. Our team very much is putting on our own version of a Super Bowl every week in New Orleans, because every association and group that comes to see us, it's their Super Bowl. And so we're very focused on those big, high-profile events, but we're also very focused on each and every event that's coming our way in the next several weeks.
Man, that hammers the point home, doesn't it? Is that, all of our eyes, when you get outside the city, when you get outside of the convention business, all of our eyes are on the Super Bowl, but, man, for y'all, you just don't clock out.
Yeah, no, and we're having lots of calls, as you can imagine, and a lot of questions, and we're working through that individually with different groups. But we've got great partners and great customers who care deeply about the city and are committed to us. But they, of course, have their questions, and those need to be answered. So our team's working around the clock to make sure that people not only recognize that they are safe when they're here, but they feel safe as well. And I think the short-term impacts of things like this is it changes the way that you think about things, because that's really the intent. This person, at some levels, intent was to disrupt the economy, the spirit of joy, and the way that people come together here in our city. And from the people we're talking to, there are a lot of people that are resolute. They're just like, that just can't happen. This is a special place, lives in the hearts and minds of people all over the world. New Orleans stands for something, and things like this don't happen in cities that aren't consequential, in cities that don't really matter. This person could have chosen a lot of different places to create harm. He chose our city. We may never know exactly why, but I think we know it's because, at least partially, it's a symbol of something bigger about Americans, about the way we live our lives, and certainly in our city about the way we celebrate and come together in a spirit of joy and togetherness. And nobody's going to let that light be dimmed because one evil person wanted to cause that harm. I think there's a sense of duty here locally, but also from those around the country that support our city, our state, our region, that are they're also committed to moving forward, and that's uplifting for us. I know our team needs that, and I know our city needs it. So it's a sense of it renews a sense of pride for us that we live in such a special place.
All right, and that's kind of where I want to wrap up. My last one for you before we get you out of here, and I greatly appreciate your time this morning, is beyond the Super Bowl. You're going to have Mardi Gras right on its heels. For those that want to make the day trip or maybe spend the night while down there, the want to get back to the celebration, but while honoring the 14 who lost their lives, the want to get back to New Orleans being New Orleans, what do we need to know going back to the city before we even book our reservations?
Yeah, I think you need to know that you can come here and you can experience that. And I think we in Louisiana have a real sense of, I think, being able to both mourn and respect, but also celebrate. And it's something that we try to do. I know when it's a loss of life, it makes it hard, but our community and across this state, across this region, tries to celebrate life. And so we're today mourning, we're of course respecting, and we're of course, I think, all angry still that this happened, but we're channeling that towards being who we are, supporting one another, leaning upon one another, and then moving forward together. And so we absolutely welcome people to come back. I think it's said you can't let the terrorist win, and I think we all really feel that way. Our community, we rely on visitors from around the world, from around the country, but also from around the state. And so for those of your listeners that are listening, we want you to come back and hope that in some way this reinvigorates your love and respect and admiration for what is really one of the most unique places anywhere in the country, the French Quarter. And I think sometimes locals lose sight of that, but maybe this gives an opportunity to kind of remember some of the things that we hold dear and remember why they're special. So we look forward to having people back, and thanks for the opportunity.
No, of course. And my mind goes back to that first Jazz Fest after Katrina. And I have this, I don't know, maybe it's just hope that there will be parallels there with Mardi Gras as well. Just that us, Louisianans, getting back in first, to be sure, to rally, if nothing else. He is Walt Leger. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say Arthur Hardy ran into one of my colleagues this morning, Mr. Mardi Gras. So we have two choices. We either surrender or we can celebrate. And he said, I think you know what I'm going to do. So I think that's the message as Louisianians. We either give in or you move forward, and I think that's what people are going to do. I think we know ourselves well enough to know we're not going to be held back.
He is Walt Leger, President and CEO of New Orleans & Company. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Absolutely. We were in long there. Not even apologetic about it. We'll come back and close out next. Oh, God, I've got a, I got to take that. I think I'm just going to leave on the shelf here, at least for now. No, because it's a bit that runs side by side with comedy, and I don't know if it's time for it because the outside in is 100% naming the 14 who died. I don't think I can slide into comedy and back out again. It goes back to Jeff Landry's picture and why he's not Larry Vaughn. That's morning. Yeah. Why? I should reserve this and do it a different day. .857 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got just a couple minutes to go before we hand off to Moon Griffon and the Moon Griffon show. Sorry, laptop just died, so I'm relying wholly on you here, John, for the out. Man, been a busy show this morning. Thanks again to David Samuels for hopping on board at 6:35. Talking about conspiracy theories. Do conspiracy theories hurt America? And if you listen to that description, you might sound like he's bashing conspiracy theories, but I recommend you check out the audio on demand at talk1073.com. It's going to be up in just a little bit after the show's over with this morning. He brings up a bigger question, and that question is, with news media being what it is today, and he's the editor of a magazine, both in print and online, that takes a slower approach to the long lead. But anyway, with news media being what it is today, information is we often find ourselves in an information vacuum. And when you have an information vacuum, you ask questions that can't be answered. And when you ask questions that can't be answered, conspiracy theories develop. And I'm air quoting conspiracy theories, but that being said, it's how do we get to the point where we can enjoy a wealth of information in front of us? Also, Dr. Tiffany Ardoin stopped by for Medical Monday. Will Green from LABI. Moon Griffon was with us, as was Walt Leger in our last segment. It'll all be available on demand at talk1073.com after the show is over with today. One thing left to do. It's time for the Outside In. Within the Outside In today, it's just one story to report on, and that is all 14 people killed in the terror attack on Bourbon Street on New Year's morning have been identified. They are Reggie Hunter of Baton Rouge, Kareem Badawi of Baton Rouge, Tiger Besh of Lafayette, Nakira Dado, Matthew Tenedorio, Nicole Perez, Hubert Gothrow, Drew Dauphin, Brandon Taylor, Billy DeMayo, Terrence Kennedy, Elliot Wilkinson, Edward Pettifer, and Latasha Polk. That's it for us. Moon's next. I almost had to bail on that because I ran out of time. Yeah. Okay. David Samuels and Walt Leger are both featured today. Walt was awesome. Guys, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We got Dr. Cade Brumley on with us tomorrow. We have got, the new head of the Baton Rouge Area Chamber going to be joining us as well, as will Congressman Troy Carter, as will, I believe, Jeff Carreras lined up as also. And I got one more segment that I'm working on that, I don't want to spoil it, but we will we'll hopefully have a decent name for you that. Nope, not spoiling. We'll see y'all tomorrow.